Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm writing to Layer by Layer, how to gain deeper insight from the Bhagavad Gita. So Swami Tadatmananda has done a kind of like, I guess, a somewhat summarized version of it. So let's see how can gain a deeper insight on it.
Have you ever read a book twice or watched the same video again and discovered many new things that you had completely missed before? That happens to me a lot. For example, after I read the Bhagavad Gita for the first time in the 1970s, when I read it again a year or so later, I understood so much more. And when I finally studied it in the original Sanskrit under my guru's guidance, I realized that whatever I had managed to glean from my previous study was just the tip of the iceberg. Even today, each time I study or teach the Bhagavad Gita, I find new insights. So, how does reading or hearing the very same text again and again help you learn something new? Well, each time you read or hear it, you are not quite the same person you were the last time. Even though the teachings are the same, you have changed. You have grown more mature, and your ability to grasp subtle details and nuances has increased. Not surprisingly, when I first read the Bhagavad Gita, I didn't have the background or preparation needed to fully appreciate its teachings. Being prepared is essential. In a college or university, before you can enroll in an advanced class, you have to complete certain prerequisite courses first. So then, what are the prerequisites for studying the Bhagavad Gita? Well, there aren't any at all. The Gita is suitable for newcomers and lifelong seekers alike. Why? Because spiritual studies are not rigidly structured or linear, like in a college or university. In fact, the journey of spiritual growth is highly nonlinear. It's not a step-by-step process, like following a recipe in a cookbook. Here's how it works. The first time you study the Bhagavad Gita, you understand it according to your current level of preparedness. But the next time you read it, your level of preparedness will have increased as a result of your prior study. So you'll understand it more completely. And each time you read the Gita, you'll be able to penetrate a little more deeply into its profound wisdom. In this way, the Bhagavad Gita, like other scriptures, can be understood in layers. With each successive reading, you'll be able to understand another layer. And because of the tremendous richness of the Gita's teachings, there are many layers waiting to be discovered.
And I do agree with that. Like as I go through this journey, you could say, the more and more I learn, especially by the different teachers, I understand more and more. And then if I ever go back to certain old videos, I understand them more because I have more information, knowledge in it. But also, I won't doubt that even life experience can help you teach you certain things in the Bhagavad Gita as well, because it relates to someone's life and their hardships. Even though it's I believe at least the one I saw, I think it's the right one. Is the one that's is basically fighting his family because he was kicked out. So it's a lot of how do you say in in family fighting, what doing the right thing, and fighting for what's right, and all that. It's a very kind of a pretty universal story, and universal stories can have a lot of deep meanings behind it as well.
A traditional metaphor compares this gradual process of discovery to walking in a dense forest at night, with only the light of a candle to illumine a path in front of you. The little candle flame reveals only a short distance, but when you take a step forward, it illumines a bit more. With that little flame, you can actually travel for miles because it only has to illumine what's right in front of you. This metaphor describes how you can progress on your path of spiritual growth. The path is quite long, and you might not be able to see the goal yet. But to proceed, you only have to see the very next step that's required. On any journey, it's helpful to have a companion, especially one who can encourage you and guide the way. Of course, on the path of spiritual growth, that companion is your guru. But when your guru is not available, Sri Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita can certainly serve as a source of encouragement and guidance. In a manner of speaking, Sri Krishna can accompany you on the path of spiritual growth. What could be better than that? Sri Krishna's teachings in the Gita are meant to accompany you throughout your journey, not just at the beginning. As we saw before, the Gita is not an introductory text, nor is it an advanced text. It's a foundational text, and as such, it's indispensable. Also, because the Gita has so many layers of meaning, many traditional Sanskrit commentaries have been written to reveal and explain those layers. For followers of Advaita Vedanta, the commentary of Shankara is the most important. That commentary itself has several layers, so sub-commentaries have been written to better understand Shankara's teachings. Many layers of meaning can be found in most scriptures and their commentaries, and the same is true for most poetry as well. When you read a poem again and again, each reading can make its imagery more vivid and make its feelings, its sentiments more intense. Some poems are even intentionally written with a hidden message or a double meaning, a meaning that might not be obvious at first. For example, in Sufi literature, some poems that superficially describe a young woman's anguish and her yearning for her far-off lover actually represents a person's yearning for God. In that poetry, the passionate union of young lovers represents a spiritual seeker's complete union with God. A similar kind of double meaning can be found in the stories of Radha and the other gopis who loved Sri Krishna so dearly. At a superficial level, those stories describe a handsome young cowherd who enjoys flirting with pretty girls from the village. But those stories also have a second meaning, a hidden message that's far more profound. The pretty girls from the village represent us, all of us. Devotees of Sri Krishna often say that Sri Krishna is the Purusha, the only male that exists. In comparison, all human beings are said to be female in nature. For this reason, the romantic play of the gopis with Sri Krishna represents all the devotional practices that are part of bhakti yoga. Long ago, I composed a song about Sri Krishna that also has a double meaning. It describes a young girl who hears Sri Krishna playing the flute and loves his music so much that she asks him to teach her how to play the flute. At a deeper level, the beautiful music Sri Krishna plays represents the profound wisdom he taught in the Bhagavad Gita. The girl's repeated practice, playing the flute, represents our ongoing process of understanding Sri Krishna's teachings in the Gita, one layer at a time. Many children enjoyed singing that song here at our ashram. Many adults also sang and enjoyed it, although they understood its meaning quite differently than the children did. I'd like to share that song with you here, but first let me explain it very briefly. It's spoken by a young girl who hears Sri Krishna playing the flute. A flute of reed you hold, Gopal, pressed gently to your lips. Enlivened by your breath, it sings beneath your fingertips. A girl hears Sri Krishna playing the flute and is attracted by his sweet melodies, like the gopis in the village who were attracted when they heard Sri Krishna playing the flute in nearby pastures. Music attracts us because music is the language of the heart. All songs, of course, are written in that very language. You might know that Bhagavad Gita literally means the song of God, the spiritual song sung by Sri Krishna. And when you play upon your flute, enchanting tunes take flight. Your soaring notes reverberate and fill us with delight. Listening to beautiful music can make us feel happy and peaceful and serene. Listening to Sri Krishna's teachings in the Gita can also make us peaceful and serene because they draw us closer and closer to him. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says again and again that he dwells within us all, in our own hearts. Attracted by your song, I came to listen and be blessed. And when you fixed your gaze on me, my heart leaped in my chest. Sri Krishna attracted the gopis with his sweet music. His name can be derived from a verb that means to draw or attract. So, Krishna is one who attracts us all. We are all drawn to feelings of peace and serenity. According to Sri Krishna himself, those feelings that arise in our hearts are due to his presence inside us all. And then you thrust your flute at me. You placed it in my hands, directing me to play a tune composed as you command. Sri Krishna's beautiful songs represent his teachings, and his flute represents the Bhagavad Gita, where his teachings are found. Those teachings were recorded by Rishi Vyasa in the Mahabharata, a great epic that's been preserved through the ages and is available for us all to read and enjoy. But I know not to play the flute. I haven't learned your song. To place my lips and fingertips, all that I know is wrong. To play the flute, you have to master new skills and learn the language of music. To understand Sri Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, you also have to learn a new language. Not Sanskrit, but rather the language of devotion, the language of divine, the language in which Sri Krishna's spiritual wisdom is found.
Bhakti yoga? Devotion and love is usually associated with bhakti yoga.
I tried to sound a single note, but not a peep emerged. Embarrassed and ashamed, I sat. Your song remained unheard. The first time I read the Gita, because of my youthful arrogance, I truly thought I had understood it. But in retrospect, I should have been terribly embarrassed by how little of Sri Krishna's wonderful teachings I had actually grasped. I was so immature back then, completely clueless. I felt disheartened, having failed. My head hung in dismay.
Real quick, I mean, I think we all are arrogant and foolish when we're younger. Hopefully, I say wisdom only comes with age. And a few other ways too, but generally, age, experience is with wisdom. And I guess some people take to wisdom quicker than others, but hopefully it comes to us all. Some more than others, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, we're all arrogant when we're younger, and that will never cease to be, apparently.
But then you lifted up my chin and urged me on to play. Even though I understood so little of Sri Krishna's teachings in the Gita at first, I continued to be strongly attracted to them. Sri Krishna attracts us all with his beautiful song of wisdom. That song not only makes us feel peaceful and serene, but it also leads us to discover his presence within us. You showed me how to place my lips and blow upon the flute. You taught me how to play each note. No longer was I mute. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna gives us extensive personal instruction, not about how to play the flute, but he gives us spiritual guidance that helps us recognize the divine presence within us. That presence is divine because it happens to be the presence of Sri Krishna himself. My heart was filled with cheer and joy, but I rejoiced too soon. For when I tried to play your song, each note was out of tune. To master a musical instrument, a lot of practice is required. In the same way, to assimilate or internalize the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, a lot of personal reflection and meditation is needed.
I will say this. Whenever I first started, not this journey, but when my minds switched up was during college, during my world religion class, when the teacher, which I do believe was Indian, taught Buddhism about how life is suffering. I did a lot of internal thinking. I do that quite a bit. I always think of all possibilities. I try to. I attack my own ideas, and when I say attack, I don't mean I hate it. It's just trying to find a way to dismantle or break down my ideas. If it falls apart, then clearly it's not a good idea. But it's a lot of internal thinking. I won't say I did meditation though, but But that kind of changed my life a bit because I did a lot of internal thinking even prior. But now that when I think about like things that upset you, things that makes you mad, things that makes you sad, I chose not to suffer from life. And I mean that. I literally, whenever she said life was suffering, it's like I thought of childbirth. It's like that's usually a good thing. It's like, but wait a minute, there's suffering prior to the child being born. So it's like okay, it's like okay, I understand now. I try to think of the best possible joy, and I guess childbirth was the thing that I thought of. Um, and then I was like, you know what? I will choose not to suffer. So by, I guess you should say, a lot of internal thinking. Anytime there's an issue or problem or whatever, I think about it a lot. I try to understand it, and it has helped me suffer less. Now, meditation I haven't done yet.
Even though Sri Krishna is already present in your heart, his teachings must be firmly established in your mind. At first, my notes were harsh and shrill. To play like you, I yearned. Each day I practiced what you taught, and what you taught, I learned. Years of practice are needed to become a talented musician, and years of assimilation are needed for Sri Krishna's teachings to completely transform you. Now when I play your wondrous songs, the notes are pure and sweet. All those who hear your melodies are blessed with peace complete. When your life has been transformed by Sri Krishna's teachings, his wisdom will be apparent in your day-to-day behavior. Instead of depending on others for your well-being and emotional support, you will become a source of well-being and support for others. It is your flute on which I play, the songs I sing your own. What music can I claim as mine when all is yours alone? When your life has been profusely blessed by Sri Krishna's teachings, you'll not only feel tremendous gratitude, but you'll also feel heartfelt compassion for others. You'll feel firmly committed to the path of Dharma. And of course, you'll feel deep inner peace.
I'll say this too to that. Is that let's see, where is it at? When all is yours alone. I'm guessing. What music can I claim as mine when all is yours alone? So I guess the joy and happiness, in a sense, the teachings is the music, instruments, the Bhagavad Gita he says. But I guess this is also all of life's teachings. When your life has been purely profusely blessed by Sri Rama's teachings, you'll have tremendous feel of gratitude. So this thing right here, this last part, you'll not only feel a tremendous gratitude. This is something that I'm amazed that I've been mostly have been how do you say, ingratitude, I suppose you could say. I don't know if I taught myself this. I don't know how this came about to be, but I've come to accept that I deserve nothing in life. And with this mentality, anything that's given to you, whether you've earned it or not, you tend to be grateful for. And I think that's a good way of living life, to be grateful of things that you have. If you have this mentality that you deserve nothing, that means that anytime you don't get something, well, you have this mentality if you don't deserve it. So therefore you can't be upset about it. But if you do receive it, you're grateful for it because you don't deserve it. It could be a bit harsh to look at that way, but that's the way I've kind of lived my life. I try to. It's where I tend to be grateful for things. But I've always expected nothing. So when I receive nothing, well, it's expected. What else is there? But whenever I do receive something in return, I'm quite grateful for it. And I think that's something that's tremendously lacking in modern day. And it's kind of sad. A lot of people today are, how do I say, are entitled. So they are not grateful for anything because they feel like they're entitled to everything. From the, let's see, oops.
You'll not only feel tremendous gratitude, but you'll also feel heartfelt compassion for others. You'll feel firmly committed to the path of Dharma. And of course, you'll feel deep inner peace.
Okay, I'm not gonna play his song here. Let's have a little taste.
A flute of reed you hold, Gopal, press gently to your lips. Enlivened by your breath it sings beneath your fingertips. And when you play upon your flute, enchanting tunes take flight.
I wonder if he's playing the instrument himself too. Anyway, I'm not going to play it all. If you want to listen to it, you have to go to his channel. So this is very interesting. So essentially, how to gain a deeper insight from the Bhagavad Gita is, of course, to read it over and over again. It's kind of like practicing any kind of thing that you practice to get better and better at it. Because as you practice it, you learn. Hopefully, you'll learn more about what you're doing wrong than what you're doing right. Because if you run out of things that you're doing wrong, that means you're doing things right. But it's also kind of like watching a movie or listening to music. You pick up on certain things that you didn't pick up before because like when you watch a movie, you're watching that side of the screen. It's like, oh, next time I'll watch that side of the screen. Sometimes because you can only focus on so many different things when you watch a movie or when you listen to music. So, to gain a deeper insight into Bhagavad Gita, of course, is to listen to it over and over again. And this is the reason why I hope to listen to other Swamis and Gurus here explain the Bhagavad Gita in their terms. So, not only do I hear the Bhagavad Gita multiple times, but also from the different perspectives. Every teacher hopefully will have a unique perspective, and hopefully some of them will say the exact same thing as all the others, meaning that this is something that's very important, or maybe something that they all picked up on that happens to be the same. So anyway, this is my reaction to Layer by Layer and how to gain a deeper insight from the Bhagavad Gita. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.